everybody. I've got a load shedding due to start at 12, so I am on my emergency setup here. But if there's a glitch somewhere in the next 5 minutes, which I should be done by in any event, then just bear with me. So just hello again to everybody. My name is Mike Swanepoel. I'm acting director for the LXD, which is Digital Learning Experience Design and Innovation here at the university, and we are a cluster of the CoLab. What I'm going to do is actually just share one slide just to position the LXD in the context of the support that you are getting from the CoLab as a whole. And that will put you into context, put it into context where Anne and Olutando and Champ and the other people that you'll be seeing presenting fit in, if they haven't already presented. I'm not sure where we are in the process there. But so I'm just going to share what is a very complicated looking diagram, but really is quite simple. And it's just to position you, and then I'm going to hand over to Elmen. She's going to give you the details, show you some photos of the people so that you can put faces to name, and then Andrew will follow that. So I'm just going to go to that slide. And this bubble diagram. And what these four clusters represent over here, there are 2 in the yellow cluster and there are 2 in the green cluster. And these 4 clusters all together are what is known as the LT CoLab. So Anne actually sits in this bubble within the Teaching Excellence cluster. And this professional teaching development. And then in that same cluster would be the academic planning and quality enhancement teams. And the LXD, which is how we refer to ourselves, Digital Learning Experience Design and Innovation, are in this cluster. You can see we overlap. There are many projects where everybody is involved. And the yellow represents the staff-facing side. So we support the academics on this side primarily. That is not to say that we don't do some work in the student side, but it's very limited. And then on the right-hand side of the cluster, the green side is the student-facing side of our services, and that is your first-year success and their orientation program and tutors and all of those people are under the learning development cluster. And then all our student counseling services known as Mtonjeni, Fountain of Student Wellness, all of those services are also part of this cluster. So LXD is part of a multidisciplinary team, and like I say, we often collaborate across the clusters where a lecturer may come and they're needing a new program or some addition to their program, or there's a quality issue, and then through that process they realize they need the services of LXD, or perhaps they need the services of the student development, and those teams come together to solve the problem. So just in terms of orientating the LXD itself, we've got 3 primary subclusters. And the first is the LXD Studio, which is Elmin's domain, and she's going to present on exactly what services the studio provides, but there are services in support of the academic. So if you've got anything that needs to be built within the digital learning spaces, that studio has most of the services on offer. Then we've got something called the Innovation Lab, and Korschla Blanche heads that up. She's not on the call today because we are busy upgrading Moodle, but Korschla is a systems engineer running the learning management system, as well as any of the innovation technologies that we are looking to plug in. So if there is some newfangled content plugin or something that needs to be that an academic feels they would like to see on the platform, Korschla and the Innovation Lab is the area that you would approach within the LXD, and we would put it through a testing process, etc., an evaluation process. So the innovation and all the digital systems are in the Innovation Lab and managed from this particular area. And then Andrew, who's on the call today, is responsible and coordinator for the e-technologists. Now, we've got a network of postgrad students who provide a direct service to academics within the faculty. So the way that works, the faculty nominate postgrad students from that faculty. We do the interviews, we train them, and then they are available to you in your faculty to assist you directly with setting up something in Moodle or in Microsoft Teams or whatever it is. So e-tech support is physical help kind of in the passages, and obviously under remote conditions, they've been working remotely. And the important thing that I just want to highlight about all three of these is that you can access all of our services, including strategic services and so forth, which are headed by the director's office in which I sit. We have got a help desk dedicated to Moodle and Microsoft Teams and digital learning issues. So it's the LT help desk. I'm sure Elmin or Andrew or both will share that address during their presentations. And so that is your first port of call. If you need any assistance from the LXD whatsoever, put it there. Even if it's not in the right place, we will make sure that that ticket reaches the right person within the collab or even in ICT services. So it might be something that's actually an ICT service and you're asking us to do, we will transfer that ticket on your behalf from that desk. So that's really all I want to indicate and talk about here, because you guys have been flooded with a lot during this process. So I'm looking forward to working with you in the future, and please make use of our services. It's why we exist, and we will do whatever we can with the resources that we have to assist where possible. And I hope you have a really good experience of the university and your career going forward here. And I'm going to hand over to Elmin, if that's okay, unless there are any questions from anybody.
I don't see any hands, so I'm fine.
Okay, I'll take over. Unless, Andrew, you wanted to go first, I don't mind.
I'd rather go first. Elmin, you're a tough act to follow. So I'm going to... Elmin is a designer, so everything she makes looks amazing. So I'm going to try and go before you.
Okay, now you've overpromised.
Just one moment, let me share my screen. Okay, I hope that's visible.
Yeah,
great,
visible.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to do a brief introduction to Moodle and Microsoft Teams. I'm sympathetic to your situation as you've been bombarded with a lot of information. So I'm going to maybe skip over some parts. Mike has already touched on a couple of the parts I was going to share about. So I'm going to start by introducing myself. I'm Andrew Thuo. I'm a learning technologist, coordinator as well for the e-technologists that Mike mentioned. You should have at least one per faculty and some per unit. We're an ecosystem, we work together. So if there's something that maybe your current technology does not know about, or you're trying to get more information about the space, either drop it to the LT help desk, or your learning technologist will get in touch with me and we'll try and figure something out. We have two learning management systems. I'll say we have a primary learning management system. That'll be Moodle. You may have heard about that. And our secondary one is Microsoft Teams. Our primary one is essentially everything you need for your learning teaching experience here at the institution. Teams came in handy recently, of course, with the advent of lockdown, with the online learning platforms and online teaching. So that would be our secondary option in terms of teaching, but you're well equipped to do everything you need to do purely in Moodle. Teams can be very helpful in this case. In terms of setting up your Moodle site, there are two sides to this. So as a new lecturer in the space, one, you'd need to have confirmation from the help desk to link you to your Moodle site. It's currently being upgraded to a better version of Moodle, so it might take some time to get all your details set up there. Some of you who already are linked to your modules will just need to, actually won't have any issues linking to your new Moodle site. But the new lecturers, especially teaching a new module, you need to link to a new module. You need to go through your department secretary, ensure that they have also linked you to the module on their side. And ICT on their side will also link you to the module so you don't have any access issues. So key factors in terms of contacting people there, that's the help desk. And what I'll do is I'll share this PowerPoint with you, and I can share it with you for distribution. If there's any information here you'd like to pass on to this team, I'm happy to send that to you as well. On the flip side, Microsoft Teams is set up by you as a lecturer, and I see we have some participants joining us with your student account. you would need to access your staff account to create a team. That's one of the limitations, and I think it's purposeful in our case, so we don't have too many teams that are running simultaneously inside the institution, or worse off, malicious teams set up by students. Once you have your staff credentials sorted out for you and you're linked to a module, what you can do on your side is set up a team. And again, our resource hub, that's the LT help desk, and the e-technologists and the online training will help you sort out this part of your online teaching experience. You'll have support staff to do that for you as well. And in this case here, what I try to focus on is that your team doesn't have to be you alone. You can add a tutor with the staff credentials to your Moodle site as well. If you're more than one lecturer per module, you can have the same team and run it through there. So lots of options and lots of ideas on how to manage your team. Forgive me, colleagues.
I was just going to say, I think you're muted.
I'm just not used to speaking for so long. Respect to all the lecturers in the room. Another option that we do have in terms of your online resources would be your LinkedIn Learning platform. That is a resource you've had for the last 2 years, and it's more of a self-guided learning option. I would encourage you to take advantage of this resource. If you were to pay for this privately, you'd pay up to about 600, 700 Rand per month to get a subscription to LinkedIn Learning. But again, as a staff member and students in this institution, you do have access to LinkedIn Learning. We have limited licenses, and how we try to curate this for our courses is upon request. So if you're a lecturer and you found some content that is interesting that you want to share with your students, we would give you a package subscription to maybe 30 students, 40 students with that particular course on LinkedIn Learning that you want to share with your students. And we'll show you how to do that on Moodle and on Microsoft Teams. And it, again, works both ways. So you may know of an expert in this room, and there are many experts in this space as well. They can curate content for you as the BYJ team of 2022 to look at certain videos. And I saw the list of questions. I believe, Anne, you sent those to us. And some of those questions or some of those areas, if you want to get some more information about that as you progress, you can look at the content in LinkedIn Learning and share that with your team. Microsoft Teams is another resource hub. So we have a lot of our training videos, a lot of resources based on that platform as well. We've recently moved to the OneDrive, and I think Microsoft Teams is underutilized. But if you're interested in learning more about that, we'll share out a training session about that as well. And throughout the week, I think next week we have our training schedules going out for the Moodle upgrade platform. So there lots of changes to Moodle, and we'll be looking at some of those next week during our training session. So keep an eye out for that. And I think we may have a specific training schedule set up for BYJ 2022. And I think we can collaborate just to make sure that we have the training scheduled as you would prefer to run it. Any questions before I proceed?
Sounds like we have a lot of Moodle experts in the room already.
I see that. I see that. Okay, so this will be your landing page for your new Moodle platform. It's been redesigned. For some of you who were here previously, 2021, or earlier this year, you will see the Moodle platform has changed significantly. I'm just going to breeze through a couple of the screenshots that we have in this space. This will be your sign-in page where you'll have your sign-in details. Now, often when you sign into the institution's accounts, you have your full email address. For the Learn platforms, that's Nkoko, iLearn, which is this instance of Moodle, you'll be using your username. So you often have that as maybe an initial and your surname, or your surname and an initial at the end, whatever it was assigned to you by ICT, and your password that you use to log into your email account. So that will be your sign-in option. On the right side, we have some resources created to assist students and staff in terms of getting started, working on your mobile device, your student portal. A few extra options here in terms of communications are all great resources and courses. So take a look at these before you progress on into your Moodle site. Once you sign into your Moodle platform, again, this has been redesigned. And again, Elmine, I'll let you speak to that at the right time. But you have options in which to access your course. Again, it looks fairly similar, but also different in terms of how you can access your courses on the platform. You want to perhaps look at your faculty and go through those as well. If you have the option to look at your modules via your list of modules attached to your site, these are not all the modules. These will be your modules that you will link to as a lecturer. So remember earlier when I mentioned that ICT will link you to your module, you need to be linked to your module as a lecturer, and then you have a quick and easy way to access all your modules. As you can see, if you have a lot of modules, it might be a bit challenging, and you might also just prefer to search for your module code and get to there really quickly. What I tend to do is bookmark all my modules to my browser so I can quickly access my the modules that I need to access on my course. We go further down, another option for you to access your learning content. Excuse me, but technical difficulties here, but we will survive. There we go. Just different ways for you to access your resources. And again, this is also for your students. So we try to make navigation easy for students and for staff. Right at the top there, something you should consider is updating your details. This is a platform, again, just to get your details as a lecturer sorted out. Maybe if you want to add a nice graphic, a picture, and those are some of the options that students have as well to look at their grades. You have options to look at your messages, and we can sort out your preferences as well. For the lecturers who are teaching large groups of classes and you want to manage those settings as well, you don't need to be notified every time one of your 1,000 students submits an assignment, and we can manage those as well in this platform in our training sessions. Okay, just a brief glimpse at what your updated Moodle site would look like. You have the option to just give your module code and module details right up front when you're in your Moodle site. Again, adding these details can be a bit tedious. In this case, the lecturer's option to add a little video, maybe a brief overview of your faculty, or maybe something about the module that you'd like to share with the students. You can have that as a standing video on your site. Adding these details to your Moodle site, again, saves you time in terms of the numerous queries that's
Andrew, we have lost your audio. We can't hear you.
Okay, I've just trying to get hold of Andrew, and hopefully, I think maybe something happened with his internet connection, and we'll just see if he can rejoin quickly. Otherwise, I can just start and he can catch up.
Elmin, are you going to do yours and then we allow Andrew on his return to finish up, or what is your plan?
Yeah, I can do that. Let's do that, because then we don't waste any time. Then you'll have to go after me after all. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen as well. Let me just okay. Make sure. No, sorry, technical difficulties today.
If we're going to learn anything, it's that technology is disruptive.
Yeah, and it happens to the best of us. I mean, that's literally what we do. So, okay, so my name is Almin Waring, and I am the Senior Learning Experience Designer for the LXD cluster. And we work, as Mark has already introduced, we work within the LT-CoLab with the other departments. So firstly, as Mark mentioned, I'm in charge of the studio. And so I'll talk a little bit about how we work, what we do, who we are, what kind of services you can request from us. And hopefully we can help you. We are excited to help. We are available, and hopefully we can get you excited about what we do. For some of you perhaps. Learning experience design is a combination of these three themes, which is instructional design, design thinking, and user experience design. And instructional design is where you identify the skills and the knowledge and the attitude gaps of an audience, and then create and select and suggest learning experiences to close that gap. So we also sometimes call it an intervention, a learning intervention, where we are creating a solution that will connect the needs and the goals. And then obviously we always try and ground that in pedagogical good practice and theory. Design thinking is a method for user-centered design innovation. So the reason we use design thinking is because it relies on empathy by the designer to find a genuine sense of the needs of the end user, and then finding a new creative angle from which to approach the solution. So you'll hear a little bit later on that our studio is made up of creatives, graphic designers, and when we were kind of conceiving this whole idea of the learning experience design studio and department, we realized that graphic designers have a lot of the skills to close the gaps for the online learning for our lecturers with the kind of creative angle that we approach a problem from. Then user experience design, that would be just evaluating the experience people have when they interact with an object or a system, and then building the experience around them, removing any obstacles that would prevent them from reaching their goals. So here we're talking about technical issues. We're obviously not wanting to remove all obstacles from learning, but any technical issues, as soon as a student realizes that there's no instruction on how to complete this activity, and they don't know where to go, they don't know which page to go to, immediately they are demotivated. So the user experience design helps us to remove those obstacles and just create a smooth experience in terms of learning online. Okay, so Mark did give a brief overview of excuse me, the digital learning experience design and innovation cluster. So just to recap, we have the studio where we develop and design flagship hybrid learning projects, including the use of adaptive pathways. Then, so that would be where I fit in. Then we have the eTech Hub, so that's Andrew's department, supporting learning and teaching staff with technologies. And then strategy and innovation, those are Mark and Koshla that Mark spoke about. That is their department and where their specific skills come in, and you are welcome to contact any of us. I will give you that email address shortly. So just to recap about the studio, it's a service offered by the LXD. We work with our colleagues from teaching development, academic development, and student counseling, so there's a lot of overlap. And we provide a learning design or learning design capacity, and then assist with the process of going from classroom to digital, using both existing content and the creation of new learning objects. When lecturers here, they need to go online. A lot of them especially the ones who have been around for a long time, are overwhelmed at the thought of having to create new learning material, and also needing to learn new technologies. So we are here to say that we can use existing classroom material. We can use that for online. We can teach you how to make it an effective online learning object, and then as well as assisting and designing those objects with you or for you. Some staff like to learn how to do it themselves, and some prefer to hand it over and let us do the design. So we support staff to design their courses, learning resources, and how to take advantage of different technologies. And then we also do virtual training, how-to workshops, etc. Okay, there's a few pictures of us doing some training. There's Mike. I don't know, I hope you can see my mouse. It's Mike. This is actually Raiz, who is the senior instructional designer for the medical school. We did a site visit to the medical school to see what they're doing in terms of online learning. There's me and Koshla, Andrew, and we're using one of our technologies here, the Padcaster. So this is a really great piece of equipment. You are using an iPad and Zoom, and this whole thing fits in a backpack. And so just one of the innovations that we're using in our department. And it's got a microphone, it's got a teleprompter, lights, and you basically set up your iPad and you've got a whole studio in a backpack. You can use a virtual background. It works really, really well. And we're hoping to have one set up in our studio permanently for lecturers who do want to make use of it, so they can come in and do a quick recording. Okay, so the studio is made up of postgrad students or recently graduated students. Just a bit of background. So it's basically a mentorship program for the students. It's a way for them to pay for their studies while they're getting work experience and building up their CV, and at the same time they're serving the broader university community. We launched in May last year, and so since then we've been working on establishing ourselves and establishing resources, creating resources, getting our name out there and creating awareness. So you'll notice here that these are our designers. We've got 8 designers in the studio currently, and each of them has a color underneath, and that is because each one of them is connected to a specific faculty. So if you have any learning design need, I'll give you the email address, and you will also build up a relationship with your specific designer, and they will understand the needs of the specific faculty. And that's why we've done it that way, because the needs of science will be very different to the needs of humanities. So yeah, we've got Amber, so she would be with health sciences. Abby is with law. Crystal with EBET, engineering. Emma with science. Mpangela is humanities. Rachel supports the transformation office. Tamarin is with business, and then Taryn with education. So I'm really proud of this team. Some of them started last year and have returned. Some are new, but they are so energetic and so committed and really talented. So yeah, I'm just excited about what we have to offer this year. We also have just employed, since yesterday, a new permanent learning designer. So we always had 2 positions. One has been vacant. We've just employed Bendre. He started yesterday, and so you'll also get to know him a little bit more. We're still trying to sort out a laptop for him, so then he will be online. Okay, so just a little bit about what we do and what you can expect from us, what kind of things you can request. So we design of course material, student communication, so learning objects like videos, illustrations, basic animations, data visualizations, and we do all of that within the corporate identity framework as we need to. Not every single Moodle activity needs to be blue and yellow. But if you are going to send out student communication out there into the world, then we try and align with the corporate identity. I have been working at the university now for 10 years, officially this year, and started out as the in-house graphic designer. So we have a very good knowledge of the corporate identity, then develop, design, and implement fully online, blended and hybrid courses, providing consultation service to our academic staff. So connecting their needs. We'll have a consultation service if you're not sure what you need, or if you just, and this is a general request that we get, is that a lecturer just says they want to want to make it more engaging. They want to make their course more engaging. They don't necessarily have a specific request. So please shoot us a mail and ask for a meeting, and we will consult and then assess your needs, and then connect that with technology, either a piece of learning technology or an activity or assessment. So we can advise on a way forward. Planning and creation of activities in Moodle. So that would include storyboarding, instructions, copywriting, script writing. We can assist with that. And then the conversion of existing classroom activities to the online space. So, for example, if you have a PowerPoint that you have used in your classroom and you now need to use it online, it's better if you don't simply upload that onto Moodle for students to download. And we can show you ways to easily convert that to an interactive learning object. Okay, how to get hold of us. So there's the email, lthelpdesk@mandela.ac.za. So we have a help desk agent, and she will direct your query. You may not know exactly what you need. So it might be technical, it might be more learning design related. If you know that it is an infographic that you need, you're welcome to email me directly, and I will then send that to my team. We are also on campus. Yay, finally. So we have a physical studio on campus. We are in building 7 on the ground floor on South Campus. So I always wanted us to have that walk-in option. Sometimes a problem can be solved very quickly if you can just look over someone's shoulder and show them, or they can show you what the problem is. So yeah, we're on campus. The students work, or the designers work from 8 till 1. So if you're on campus and you need assistance, you're welcome to pop in and visit us. Okay, so quickly to run through some of the resources and trainings. So I've mentioned kind of services that you can request from us. We also have resources that have already been developed. We have developed in-house self-help resources, and as well as training that you can request from us. So types of training would be do-it-yourself. So using free tools, you don't have to be a designer to make visually engaging learning material. Module makeover, so that is if you feel that you want to give your module a makeover, you want to make it more visually interesting, you can let us know. And what we would generally do is make a copy of the course, because we wouldn't want to mess with anything while your students are using it. And we will do an assessment and make some suggestions, and then you're welcome to use that. Effective strategies for creating engaging online learning is another training or workshop that you can request. And then self-help resources, I've included a few in the next few pages. So we have a few like Moodle how-to. So that is just your basic Moodle how-to. Same with the student version, which is the digital toolkit. It's like how to set up your email on your phone. It just helps. It was something that we created at the beginning of last year, when a lot of students were not yet registered and they were trying to get onto their email, or they were trying to access their course on Learn, and they didn't know how to do that. There's the student success resources. So those are things that we developed in partnership with our student success cluster, and that there are quite a number of them. But something that you can refer your students to. So if they're struggling with learning online, there's tips and strategies, there's time management, there's those types of topics. We create virtual backgrounds. I'll show you a few now. Moodle tips we send out every week. We like to connect that with the kinds of requests that we are getting that week. So if we're getting a lot of requests for training on how to use groups in Moodle, then we will try and send out a Moodle tip related to those queries. I think the next few ones will all relate to the new Moodle. We can create templates where you can populate it yourself. And then the online quality review checklist, which I'm going to show you. It's actually an app that we are developing that we are very excited about. So this is the How to Moodle resources. So the very basic, these all are clickable, as you can see. So this will take you to a course online to show you how do you build a new course in Moodle. Andrew touched on this. What are the steps? And these are so easy to use. And I'll switch over to my browser and try and show a few, but really step by step with screenshots, very easy to use, building a new course. Course shell, which is another one of our resources, which I will show you. So basically it's an outline of an existing course, which you can use to then populate. So it's kind of best practice, what needs to be in your course. And so you don't have to start from scratch. You can back up that course, you can restore it, and you can populate it with your own information. How to use quiz activity, assignment. So just the more popular ones, feedback, Zoom recording, PowerPoint recording. So basically the ones that we get a lot of queries for. And then this is the student version. So these all also link to courses online, how to log in, how to reset your password. That is probably the one they struggle with the most. Setting up your device with your emails on your phone, student portal, etc. This is another one of our innovations, was that there was a demand for illustrations per faculty, just better quality illustrations that could be used on Moodle. So we have these on our website downloadable, and they are high quality. They are both institutional and faculty branded. So you can use these for if you're using the grid format on your Moodle site. So instead of having all your topics as a list, you can have a grid and you can have a little picture in each of them. Or some lecturers like to use them in their PowerPoints. It's up to you, but they are really, really nice to use. They immediately just cute up the presentations. So these are, I quickly wanted to show you some of our new virtual backgrounds. So some of you may have already seen the institutional ones, some of the ones we did last year. We tried to do new ones often. So this was for Faculty of Health Sciences, some really nice designs. Obviously, you would be standing in front of this, so we leave space. This was done by our faculty learning designer for health sciences. And lecturers tend to use these in their PowerPoints as well, so you don't need to stick to virtual backgrounds. They like using them in their PowerPoints as a background. So a really nice one. I especially like this one because I feel like if I was giving a presentation and I was standing or sitting in the middle of this background, then it would look like Madiba is hugging me. Okay. Then this is our app that we are developing. So Kasha is working hard on this. And this is basically an online course review rubric. So there's this would be your first page, how it works. There are 6 sections. You would complete the checklist, submit, and then it gives you a percentage result. And then you would use that to identify gaps and then know where interventions need to be created. So I'll show you. So those are the 6 sections. So overview and information, things that would need to be included in your online course. Technology and tools, design and layout, content and activities, interaction, assessment and feedback. You would then be able to either choose one of these if you want to just assess a percentage of how well you're doing in terms of incorporating technology and tools. You could do that, or you could do all 6 of them. once you've clicked on one, it will then give you a checklist. So for overview and information, for example, these are kind of your best practice things. Does your course include welcome and getting started content? Is there an orientation? Is there a course information area? Do you have a printable syllabus? Are there links to campus policies on plagiarism? Learner success resources, that's something I've mentioned before. Whether it's fully online, course objectives are clearly defined. So just a checklist of things to consider. Let's go back. Then once you've done that, so you would click on, say, okay, I've got this, I don't have this. Next page would then give you the results. So if you've done all of them, you would see, okay, I'm getting, for interaction, I'm getting 80%. I need to work on my design and layout. I only have 20% there. And that would be a starting point for the module makeover as well. You could do this, and then you could come to us with your results and say, okay, this is where I need assistance. Or if you're doing it yourself, you would immediately see where there needs to be an intervention. And because you have the checklist, you already have the solutions. If you're missing that welcome and getting started content, then you know that is something that needs to be included. So I'm going to just turn off the presentation and switch over to my browser. So I can show you just a couple of our kind of flagship projects. So I've shown you the course review rubric. Okay. So this is what Andrew was showing the screenshots of, and I have something just one step better, which is the live test version of the new Moodle. So if you have been here with us for a little bit longer, you will know that Moodle needed an upgrade and an update. We are very, very excited about this. It just looks a lot cleaner. People don't always like the idea of change, but this is really going to be much more user-friendly. You can see here that we have included some training material kind of right on the front page. So if you're a student and you've never used Moodle before, or you don't even know how to log in or email, all of these. So these actually link, if I click on this, to an online course that will then show you with screenshots step by step how to do these things. So that is already just on the home page. So I'm just going to log in, and this we've put some sliding banners here. We're finding at the beginning of the year, this is one of the biggest requests that students struggle with, is just how to find your course. So here we've got immediately you can click there and it will take you to a resource that shows a student how to find their course if they can't find it. And then we also have those student success resources here. I'll just open it in another tab. And then we have all our faculties down below, and you'll see that it's just much more visually appealing. So a quick little sneak peek. What I wanted to show you was just a few of the courses that we have developed. Maybe it'll be interesting to you, and also just to show you what we can do. So I'm going to open this course, which is the module makeover. I've spoken about this before. It's something that we offer as a service, a consultation service, but we also have a fully online kind of version of this. So if you wanted to do it yourself, you could do this course. So there's just a little introduction, and then there's the welcome. So I'm going to open this, and this is one of our technologies that we're really excited about. So this part of the course was built in Articulate. It's an e-learning authoring tool. So you can build it and then you can embed it into Moodle. It's really easy to use, and it's really, really nice and interesting, presents the content in a really interesting way, a lot of interactive little games, videos that can be included. So just to show you what it looks like, if you would like something designed like this, you're welcome to get in touch with us. You can see the instructions are really clear. It's easy to follow, to know what you have to do. So I'm going to go then to the next slide. So this is now an example of do it yourself, which is why I put it in here. So this was built in Canva, and I always say to participants, this literally took me 10 minutes. So instead of a PowerPoint, you can use a Canva template. It's free and it embeds directly in Moodle. So instead of having a PowerPoint that you're downloading and the students get lost because now they're looking for the PowerPoint and this is just a little activity where you introduce yourself and say interesting things, and it's just a little bit more interesting than your usual PowerPoint. Welcome, and then there's a picture of me, it's my name, and just add to that connection with the students to say a little bit about yourself. And I said here it's also Quebeca, and I've asked them to send me a video of them pronouncing it. Get to know me. I've been in teaching and learning for 10 years, and picture of the university. We ran this course with international participants, so for them it's really interesting to see where we are, what it looks like. Some fun facts about me. Hobbies. I said I don't really have any hobbies because I have 2 small children. And my pets, and only 2 of these are real. And just it's lovely to meet you all. So honestly, this was something I put together in 10 minutes. So it doesn't have to be something scary and overwhelming. So how we do this course is that there's an online checklist, the one I showed you. You would fill that in, and then we give you information on if you are finding this section is your weak point. How would you then go about bettering it? So including welcome and getting started, we give you step by step, like how you would better that section, what should be in your course overview. So I can share this course with you. I will chat to Anne. And so we have that. I won't go through all of it, but we have that for each of the sections: overview and information, technology and tools, and then so I will not go on for too long because our time is actually running out, and Andrew still needs to finish up. But I will show you our this is what I was talking about, Articulate Rise, which is our e-learning authoring tool. Okay, that seems to be loading. While that's loading, just one more thing I'll show is that we had a request from the Faculty of Humanities to redesign their module guide. And so we always like to kind of push the boundaries and go one step further. So what they were doing was that they had a PDF or a Word document that they uploaded, and students would download that. So we redesigned it for them, and then we said, well, let's try a different kind of activity instead of just uploading a file. So this is our testing site. And so we used the H5P tools, which is a really nice interactive tool. More about that we can share. So instead of having a download, it's embedded in Moodle. You can see whether they've read it or not because you can see where they've accessed it. And it's really nice because it gives you a contents page. So this is your module guide, but you just want to see when your weekly quiz is. So you don't want to go through a 100-page document. You just quickly go on your contents. You can click on there. You can also, for example, put a video in there. So message from the dean, contact details. You can put notes in, and then you can also add like a little question at the end if you want to make sure they've read it. So this is just an example. So you may send your lecturer WhatsApp at 4 a.m. true or false, and then they can check whether they are right. Yeah, so I think our time's running out. We have a lot of resources. I wouldn't be able to go through all of them, but maybe I will just hand over to Andrew, and I'll just remind you in the chat of our email address and how to get hold of us.
Perfect. Thanks, Elmine. Is Andrew back?
I don't know.
Yes, I
Is he?
am.
Ah,
Yay!
I'm so sorry, colleagues. The Wi-Fi gods are not on my side today. I had to switch to 2 different networks to get back online. And I'll be really brief. I'll just touch on Teams, and we can field some of the questions that you may have for us. Something about the Teams platform that we're all more familiar with is the teaching and learning platform, but I think we should also take some cognizance for the options for professional development, faculty, staff, and coordination, and research. This gives us an opportunity to run this online, and I think we can explore a little bit more about that in upcoming training sessions. With the Teams platform, we often focus on the calls, chats, and teams. That's just the community or your group or your unit that we have here. I'm not too sure how faculties are running each team. There are some faculty teams that are out and running, and I think that works well in terms of just the online engagement platform. The focus on teams in terms of their own apps, and this is why we also focus on our Microsoft apps as well. Some of the key ones there, of course, is the Outlook. And Power BI is one of the fortunately, hopefully we get that running soon. Will be some of the apps we use on the Microsoft side, purely because we have support in terms of our engineers across our institution. There are some other apps that you can add to your Microsoft platform as well. I'll encourage you to explore those that might be helpful. So looking at tools like Kahoot or the Moodle app or the GitHub app. So this is if you have an app or an idea that you think would be beneficial for the institution or maybe just for your department or for your students and you want to develop it yourself, Teams allows for that. So this is some of the considerations you can look into. And again, just some of the deeper tools of Microsoft Teams in terms of learning and teaching. This will be OneNote especially. Because of time, I won't share this videos, but again, I'll share this PowerPoint with you. And if anybody wants to look at some of the institutions that are succeeding with Microsoft Teams, how they've used it in the past, how they continue to use these videos as well. I'll encourage you to check out the University of New South Wales. There's an engineering lecturer there who's really successful in terms of how they use Microsoft Teams, and you can get some tools and ideas on how to use that platform as well. I'll also share a link for a Microsoft Teams education team. I said team too many times in that sentence. Where you can engage with other lecturers from across the world, other teachers from across the world, and how they use Teams in these spaces as well. So that will be an online community where you can ask these questions. They have Teams experts in these spaces where they can share some of the new features. You may have heard about a breakout room or a particular tool in terms of your whiteboard and how to use it best. So again, just like Reddit or some of the online platforms, just focused in a professional space and a safe space for you to engage with as well. The Teams experience is great across the platforms. Often we have lecturers who join your lecture on your one device or multiple devices. In this case, something I should have considered for this session with my unstable Wi-Fi. So you can switch between the 2 devices for the same lecture or attend multiple meetings at once. I'm just going to skip over some of the slides just because we're pressed for time. But something I just want to encourage you to look at as well is the possibility for collaboration in Teams. There's a huge support for research in the Microsoft Teams platform in terms, especially of collaboration. So we have live docs, and the live docs that we have running here are PowerPoint, Word, Excel, especially. And this one happens a couple of ways. I think if you're ever in a position where you have to share folders or share documents with your colleagues and people keep updating the wrong document, or as the person who's putting the document together, you have to sit and put this document together on your own. Teams creates a safe space, secure space for you to do that as well. So just some considerations for Teams in those ways. And I'm gonna stop there because we'll keep up form and we'll definitely share some more about the training sessions scheduled for BYJ specifically, as well as and keep an eye out on the memo platform for any other training sessions that we have going forward. I'm going to stop there and hand over to
Anne and see if there's any questions.
To me.
Not to answer the questions, just to check if there are any.
I don't see any hands right now, but are there any questions for the Learning Experience Design team other than when is the training? Because I see there's a lot of excitement around that one already. Nothing. Okay. We have no questions from that side. Almin, Andrew, Mike, thank you very much. But if I could then have all the resources, links, everything, because it was such an awesome presentation and I like the look of it. Then I will share that with all our participants on the team site, because we obviously don't have access to Moodle right now because of the update. So we'll create the Moodle site for this course from Teams afterwards. So we're doing it a bit back to front. So thanks for that. And yeah, that's all from our side.
And there is a question from Felitus. Go ahead, Felitus.
Sorry, I've been trying to lift my hand, but my laptop is slow. Yes, I'm not sure if the question is relevant, but I wanted to ask, so when you're having, let's say, a lecture on Teams, I know that sometimes the students can be very quiet and not interactive. And then I know I once attended a course on Zoom just to keep everyone interacting during the lecture. They would have like a pop-up question coming up on the screen, and then all the people on the Zoom call would give a response, and then once it would give them, let's say, 2 minutes to respond, and it would then give an answer, or the percentage of people that responded yes, and then the percentage of people that responded no. Is there something like that on Teams? Because I'm just wondering, like, how to make the online lectures more interactive to make sure that people are not just listening in, they're actually there and they're taking in the information. Thank you.
Felicitas, I'm sure you're not asking the questions to only the LXD team. Even the teaching development team can respond to that. Andrew, you want to respond first? Go ahead, Andrew.
I think his Wi-Fi connection has dropped again. He's having problems. I don't know if someone else in the room can maybe answer that question. Mark?
I can quickly answer. It's Mike. So Teams does have a tool called Insights. It's available on every team. You'll find it on the left-hand side. And if you ask for instance, ask something like, and you're able then to set up a little poly or a little true, false, or just a question answer type question. And it will summarize all of that in the Insights. Insights will also summarize all the students who were logged in on that particular call. So it gives you kind of an attendance list, if that's of any interest. And if you're running a chat with students' chat in it, you can actually export that entire chat to a spreadsheet. And in that way, you'd be able to go through it to look for common questions, or, from a learning perspective, try and understand what the students were asking and why. So all of those are reportable, and the reporting will improve with time. But as Nolutando indicated, it's the usual techniques of engagement, making sure that you're asking questions that require participation, and they can only answer if they are participating. So the little polys and questionnaires will do that in a simple way, but also within the context of slides that you're presenting or whatever, and requesting them to answer in the chat. And therefore the chat activity becomes like a forum, and you'll be able to look at that for data using the Insights tool.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike. That's really helpful.
Any last words from you, Mike, and colleagues? And this question will be answered as we go along with the 3-day training. We will also, from our side as well, try to explore other ways of making sure that we're not the only ones who do the talking, or, so that all of us are active participants. Last words from the LXD team?
Nolutando, from my side, just please make use of the services. We're here to consult. We don't expect you to know the answer. And so it is about a conversation and seeing how we can help. And we will put you in touch with the right people, if it's not us. And it is a conversation, and it's a partnership, and that's the most important thing. And we will do what we can to support that.
Okay. And before we break for lunch, you must just tell us what it is that you expect from us before we rejoin at 2 o'clock. Anne?
Thanks, Noratandu. I'll do what I did for the previous session. I'll send the link to the next session in this one. And once again, there will be a session after this one separate to this. So go enjoy lunch and either join from your email or you can click on the link that will be provided in this chat.
Okay. Bye, colleagues. See you at 2 o'clock. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.